Hello, everyone. It is Debbie D. Groden. Welcome to our webinar today, How to Create Efficient Lead Follow-Up Systems. Now, there is a little bit of a delay between when I say things and when you hear them, about 30 seconds or so, but it'd be awesome if you'd go ahead and maybe just type in your chat box, your name, where you're from, that you can hear me loud and clear. If you have a particular challenge with lead follow-up, please feel free now or at any time during the webinar to type in that challenge or that question. We want to make today's webinar as interactive as you would like it to be. Hey, Jeremy, great to talk to you from Los Angeles. Carrie, Washington, D.C. Vanessa, Austin. Wow, Austin. Papazon Properties Group in Austin, Texas. Vanessa, I'm assuming you work for Wendy, and I used to coach Wendy, so great to have you on today. So guys, we're going to cover a lot of good stuff about lead follow-up, and also if you have any trouble making the webinar work, it looks like it's working fine for everyone. You might just try refreshing, and also Taylor always tells me that it works best in Google Chrome. So you may try that. And Taylor is manning the chat box as well. So if you have any technical difficulties, she's going to be watching for you. And we have a huge group today, which tells me a couple of things. One, congratulations. Hey, next Tuesday is Christmas and you're all here still working. I am so proud of you, especially for this very important topic as we get ready to enter a new year. And also it tells me that this is probably a pretty hot topic for you. And I'm not surprised because as I travel all across, well, North America, it's interesting. I hear two things a lot from real estate agents. I hear, you know, I'm struggling to work my past clients and sphere as efficiently as I would like to. And then I also hear that sometimes I neglect my lead follow-up. So those are two really critical areas. So today we'll tackle the lead follow-up. Okay, so I see everyone coming on board. Taylor, I see a couple of people saying that they can't hear us, so maybe you can type in and respond to them. But I think the rest of you can hear me fine because it looks like it's only one or two people and everyone else seems to be good to go. And no, Susan, you don't need to call in, but Taylor is answering you now. All right, guys, so let's get this party started. You know, I looked at the registration and I'm always super excited. In fact, Taylor and I were just talking about our regular webinar members who join us often. And I'm so glad to have you back. And so I'll just take a moment to bore you guys with my bio that have heard it before. But for those of you, I saw many, many new names today. And I just wanted to meet you and say hello. You know, today I'm in my office right here in Costa Mesa, California, which is right near Newport Beach, South Coast Plaza, John Wayne Airport. But we are a coaching company that works with great agents, teams, and brands all across North America. You know, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have that opportunity for the last 20 years to work with some of the brightest and best. And thanks to our customer loyalty, we're an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. And yet we're always very mindful that we want to put quality and content first. And that's why we want to make sure you learn lots of great new things on the webinar today. So just like all of you, you know, I sold real estate out in the field for almost 20 years. I was an aggressive prospector because I was a young kid. When I got started at the age of 18, I didn't have any lead sources to buy, and I didn't have parents with money and great connections. And, you know, I was just a kid. So I did it the old fashioned way, out there prospecting every day, you know, knocking on doors, making calls. And it's kind of funny. I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later about my broker. There was something he said to me once about lead follow-up that I'll share with you. But he was pretty tough on me. You know, he told me, Debbie, you're young. You don't know anything. So you're going to have to go out there and prospect 5 hours a day. And I did, and it paid off. And by the time I was 24, I was closing over 156 units a year as my own personal production. I had a administrative helper, but she was not licensed. And I went on in my career to close over 3,000 transactions. My husband, Don, is still selling real estate, 34-year plus veteran. Taylor is the president of my company working here. She is a licensed agent. And my daughter, Erica, is also a licensed agent, works as an escrow officer at an escrow company. So I guess you could say we're a real estate family. And, you know, as we're looking at the year ahead, I just want to encourage you guys that whether this year was great for you, if it was good for you, then make next year your personal best. If it wasn't great for you, hey, the good news is there is a whole fresh year ahead. And, you know, I share my bio only so that you will know that I've been there, I've done it, my family's doing it, and certainly not to hold up those numbers and say, wow, you know, look at me, because let's be real. You know, I work too much. I work too hard. And that's why I love as a coach being able to find people, help people find better quality of life, new ways of doing things, utilizing technologies. So again, I just appreciate you being here with us today. So we do have a couple of gifts for you. We do have a replay of today's webinar. And then also we have set aside some time, and this is a little bit special between now and next Friday. And I'll tell you why. On every webinar, what we also always do is for those of you who think that you may have an interest in coaching. I don't like to take our time on the webinar to do a commercial about that. But for those of you who are seriously thinking it might be right for you in the new year, I have actually set aside some spaces in my own personal schedule next week. Now, usually I do a few if I can in the week. My coaches are often on standby. But between now and next Friday, if you choose to have a conversation, a 1-hour consult about how coaching could help you, about some challenges you're having getting ready for the new year, I have set aside, I believe, about 10 spaces. I worked really hard to clear the decks for you guys so that if you're taking advantage of that call, you're going to be having that call actually with me. I guess you'd say my gift to those of you who really are the few, the proud, and the brave and want to get some extra help. Okay. But I'll tell you later how you can register for that. So no worries right now. So is weak lead follow-up costing you money? You know, for something that is so important, as I said, it's often one of the things that is neglected. I do find sometimes too, though, that agents will say to me, you know, I worry, like, I don't want to be a stalker. You know, I want to be persistent. I want them to know I'm interested. But where is that fine line between enough and too much? So we'll talk a little bit about that today. And again, you can absolutely type in your questions for me as we go, and I'll take a little break every now and then and look over there at that sidebar. So if you're wondering how aggressive you should be, here's a thought. If once a year somebody isn't saying to you, you're a little aggressive, right? If you don't hear that once in a while, wow, you're a little aggressive, then I wonder if you're being aggressive enough. Because you are a great salesperson, you sell. This is what you do. So if somebody is not interested, if they don't want your help, they may find that you're a bit aggressive. And then maybe you should throw them away, right? Or put them on some kind of automatic email drip. But if somebody is truly interested, they want you to follow up. And if you don't follow up, they may assume that you're just not that concerned about helping them. Now, I wonder too, do you sometimes find yourself chasing new business versus going back and following up with that pipeline, right? With those people that you've already either purchased by buying an online lead, you've connected with at an open house. Maybe it is your past client who said they might move in 2019. So chasing new business is good. I love it if you're prospecting. But on the other hand, let's make sure we're going back to nurture that stuff that's in your pipeline. So do you even have a strong system for nurturing them? So if so, where are the gaps in that system? You know, Ernie is a great guy. Some of you have met Ernie. In fact, I was here at the office this morning at 5:30 in the morning, and Ernie, I'm in, Orange County. Ernie's in LA County in Beverly Hills. And he was emailing me back and forth at 5:30 this morning. And I jokingly said to Ernie, I can see you're enjoying your leisurely post-holiday schedule. So hard worker, great guy. If you guys Google him, which I would really encourage you to do, look him up, because he has a wonderful website and some super cool, marketing that he does. You can friend him on Facebook. Ernie is Katy Perry and Fergie's realtor. You've heard me talk about that before. He just recently sold the Brady Bunch listing a few months ago. Just a nice guy. So please feel free, if you need a referral in Beverly Hills, check out Ernie, but just maybe follow him and look at some of the cool stuff he does. So when Ernie came to us for coaching, he's like probably many of you who 25 plus years in the business, has a good loyal following. But what he found he was lacking is some of the follow-up, because just like you guys, he would get really busy. And then what would happen is some of the scraps and the pieces and the papers on his desk, he just wouldn't get back to them. So one of the things we had to work on was a really simple system, to every day stay on top of those hottest and best leads. And guys, actually, when I say simple, I mean very simple. So here's what we did with Ernie. We said, okay, first of all, we got to make sure all your contacts are in your CRM, right? So all the little scraps, loose ends of paper, so that just a little discipline, that every day, at the end of the day, that anything he had collected in that day needed to go in that CRM with the proper follow-up noted. Next, every day he had to take his top 5. So his top 5 hottest and best that he was hunting for that day, and make sure that he connected with them. In fact, if you are a loyal webinar follower, you've probably heard me talk about this before, are 5, 5, 5, and 5, right? So 5 great connections, 5 emails to create a great connection, 5 personal and direct text to, again, great connection, create new opportunity, and even 5 handwritten notes. So 5 calls, 5 emails, 5 texts, and 5 handwritten notes. And it takes about an hour a day. And we did a lot of other things as we worked with Ernie, but I want to say that one thing was a huge game changer for him. Because when you go on his website, you're going to see he has listings everywhere from 2 million to 26 million. You miss one lead, that's painful, but that's the same for all of us, right? If we miss a lead, if we leave that money on the table needlessly, it's heartbreaking when you call that person back or run into them at a grocery store 6 months later and they say, oh yeah, by the way, I already sold my house, right? So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk a little more about today why lead follow-up must be a priority. Secret number 2, what are some of the best methods and frequency in which to stay in contact? And then secret number 3, my personal favorite, how to engage them and lock them into you. So let's make a deal. All right. I always like to make these deals with you before each webinar. I promise to give you as much as I can in our short time together. And I just ask you to promise me to find 2 or 3 action items. In fact, and forgive me guys, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm really hoping I don't cough on you too much today. So I would love to do something different today than we normally do. I'm going to actually give you guys my email. It's Debbie, Debbie at Excellium, Excelleum, Debbie at Excellium.com. And please feel free, email me at the end of this webinar your 2 or 3 action items. So we'll call that just a little extra accountability. And then if you have a question you didn't get a chance to ask on the webinar today, you certainly can do that. Okay, so I'm going to watch the chat box and I'm going to answer your questions as we go, and Taylor will answer your technical questions. All right, so here's a real stat, and it's real eye-opening. Did you know that 70% of most agents' business comes as a direct result of their lead follow-up? But as I said a few minutes ago, and I apologize there, I see a little typo, and that's because I was doing what I always do to Samantha at the beginning of right before every webinar. I go in and add new stuff, change the content, and don't give her a chance to prove it. So excuse our typo there. But most agents tell us that this is one of their most neglected areas. So as we think about it, there are three possible outcomes with your leads. One, they list or buy right now. Two, they list or buy in the future. And of course, three, they never list or buy, right? So they're either going to do it or they're going to do it later, or they're just simply never going to do it. But that's why lead follow-up is so important, because we don't know, where is the wheat versus the chaff, right? But we've got to connect with them and we've got to talk to them. Here's what studies have shown regarding real estate leads, that 50% of those who do reach out for some information, resource, 50% they say buy, because this is all industries. But for real estate, we could say list or buy within 18 months. So think about that, guys. In your pipeline of who you have right now, no matter how big or how small that list is, 50% are going to list or buy within the next 18 months. But do we know who they are, right? We got to get in there and dig them out and find them. Now, of that big group that you may have, or small group you may have, actually 85% of them will likely do something within 90 days of their inquiry. So you've got 50% will do something, but 85% of the 50%. Okay, so 50% will do it within 18 months, but 85% of that 50% will do it actually within 90 days. All right, so what about secret number 2, the best methods, and what should be the frequency to stay in contact? Well, one of the best methods, guys, is to time block every single morning. That lead follow-up is one of your first activities. Now, granted, I prefer that you do your prospecting, right? Because usually that's a little bit harder for you than your follow-up. So if you get in the morning, you do your prospecting. So you're hunting new opportunities, maybe doing, cold opportunities. You're getting that done first. And then you're rolling immediately without interruption into your lead follow-up. So I encourage you to time block 30 to 60 minutes a day for your lead follow-up. This is an important appointment with your future. Now, if you are lead follow-up challenged, then you should do it as your first activity, right? Before you get in the weeds of the deals and the issues and all the stuff that go on in the day. Do lead follow-up first, then you're prospecting, then you roll into your day. But for most of you, you'll want to prospect, then time block that 30 to 60 minutes to follow up. Now, I see Christina who's saying, I have no database set up. How do I even begin? So guys, here's the thought. What you would want to do is just research a very simple and affordable CRM. Now, if your company provides one, use it, right? If it's free, use it. We have one that we kind of like here at Excellium. I certainly don't get any kickbacks if you use them, but because we do refer a lot of clients to them, I think sometimes they give you a little bit of a special deal if you mention our name. But it is called Wise Agent, WISEAGNT. I believe it's about $29 a month, no contract, month by month, and it's got a lot of awesome stuff to help you set up your call plans, to email, to text from the system. I've actually found it to be not only one of the most affordable, one of the most robust for the price, and one of the most user-friendly. But by all means, find something, right? Because I used to have them in like a shoebox, and we had the index cards and the months and the days of the month. It was kind of my CRM back in the day. But a great CRM will allow you to keep all of the notes, to tag and mark when you want to call them again, to send out an e-blast. So again, if your company provides one, awesome, use it or go shop around. But just remember, don't get too stuck in shopping around. Just get something and start using it. Now, Betty is asking, what time did I start calling my prospects? And guys, please remember, when I talk to you about the things that I did, or maybe even share things that a client is doing, that's not at all to say that's exactly how you should do it. Because you see, I believe you're all very unique. How you do your business is unique. Everyone has a different goal. But what I did is I just like to get to the office early. So I was always at the office by 7:30. The first thing in my lineup was to call the fresh expireds bright and early. I would also then often go to for sale by owners. Then I would go to my very hottest lead follow-up. So for example, somebody that I had just met at open house, and maybe Sunday, and now it's Monday morning, and I want to get on them. So I would do my super hot lead follow-up early. Then I would call my past clients and sphere of influence. And then I would move into my additional follow-up. Now, I'm just, again, telling you what I did. I didn't have a lot of database or prospects when I started. So then I would then roll into 2 hours in the morning, just doing call around listings and sales. Then I would go preview property from 12:30 to about 2. And then 2 to 4, I would door knock. 4 o'clock, back at the office, doing more lead follow-up. So that was kind of my routine. And of course, the afternoon might get interrupted by appointments, but the morning I tried to stay really locked and loaded, just locked and loaded on that routine of the follow-ups and the prospecting. So a couple of great questions. Ernest says, love your old school tools, Debbie. Yeah, Ernest, I got to tell you, it was actually a pretty cool box. It was called Lumlow System. John Lumlow created it as a big box. It had a handle. And you know what was interesting? All I had to do was think, okay, when do I want to call Ernest again? I want to call him next week. Okay, let me go to next week. I'm going to put him in the 20th. Boom, there you go. And then I just had to discipline myself every day to make the calls in that box that were set aside for that day. But that's what a CRM does for you, right? I talked to Ernest today. I say I want to call Ernest again on the 20th. I set my next call back. I write my notes from my conversation with Ernest. And all I got to do is when I show up in the morning, I have to make the calls that my CRM tells me that I need to make. Now, Carlos also has a great, I'm going to come back to Carlos. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Audrey has a suggestion. Realty Juggler is only $99 a year as a startup CRM. I have heard a lot about Realty Juggler. So by all means, guys, you may want to check that out. So Carlos, you're asking about door knocking with a question mark. Well, one of the things I did is I had a geographic farm. So I always went out and I door knocked in my geographic farm. And if I was already cycled through my farm for the month, then I would door knock around a listing to invite people to open house, or I would door knock around a recent sale. Okay. Carlos is asking, where can we get my scripts? All right. So guys, here's the deal. Taylor, I know you're listening. So since this is almost Christmas, we're going to do something really special for you guys today. But I'm going to say, here's the rule. You got to stay on till the end because I want you to get all this great content. So if you stay on to the end, I'm going to make sure that Taylor sends to you my gift of my scripts. Now, if you go to my website, Excellium.com, you're going to see very legitimately those scripts sell there for $99. Now, if you're a coaching client, of course, you get them for free. If you're not a coaching client, you would actually have to buy them. The $99 includes the scripts, 80 pages. and it includes matching audio download. So because I'm so proud of you guys being here with us today, and it's almost Christmas, you're going to get both. You're going to get the PDF and you're going to get the audio. So my $99 present to all of you. So that's my gift. All right. So let's see. What message, if at all, do you leave during lead follow-up if no one answers your call? You know, you're going to need to take that a little bit case by case, guys. So I wouldn't leave a message every single time, right? Because that could get a little bit weird. But I would definitely leave a message when you're following up. Keep it short, 30 seconds or less, and think about lead follow-up this way. You always want to be saying and doing things that spark a sense of urgency. So I could say, hey, you know, I just took a brand new listing. I think you're going to be very interested in it. Can you give me a call back right away? I want to give you the scoop. So call me right away. Or, hey, you know, I was just wanted to give you a market update. We're starting to see a shift in the market. I want to be sure you're in the know. Can you call me back? It'll only take a minute or two. So I want to create that sense of urgency, because if I just say, you know, hey, it's Debbie and how are you? And I met you at open house and, you know, I'd love to be your agent. And I really hope you need some help. And, you know, I'm a really good agent. Click, right? They don't listen. Right? So I want you to spark urgency. Okay, so how do you feel about automated follow-up text, email drips, autoresponders? Love it, love it, love it. Doesn't take the place of you, but we'll talk more about that in just a minute. And I see the thank yous coming in for the scripts. You are welcome. All right, so here's the power of follow-up, guys. You know, Lisa Lloyd is a terrific agent. She works hard. She's a mom, you know, she's running around with the kids and sports and going to the school and all kinds of things to do. And she came to us and said, you know, I have just a really limited schedule. I got to make more money though. I've got to grow my business. How do I do that? Well, there are a couple of things that we worked on with Lisa. One, which was really leveraging the power of her database of past clients in Sphere, her connections at the school, making sure they knew graciously that she was a real estate agent. But then we worked on her systems of follow-up. She didn't have time to add a lot of new prospecting activities, but guys, you can see by her reference there, she grew her business by over 35%, and she didn't work more hours. She didn't take time away from where she needed to be with her kids. And I popped her story in here because I wanted to encourage you that as you think about the year ahead, I don't want you to dread it, thinking, I have to work 24/7. In fact, that's the last thing that I would want you to do. So if you're feeling like the quality of life is not where you want it to be, if you're feeling there are gaps in your system and maybe it's time to get some coaching with that, remember at the end, I'll give you a chance to register for that strategy call. So here's a goal I have for you. Keep a list of your top 10 leads. You know, I always have on my desk, who are my top 10 leads? Now, I have them in the CRM. They're in all those auto campaigns and follow-up. In fact, that's how the auto campaigns, you know, Ron, if you think about it, that's how I got you here today, right? You know, somehow, somewhere out there, you met me. Either you opted in to get a free Facebook report, or you opted in because you attended an event with me. You know, all of you met me somehow, somewhere. And then I opted you in and dropped you into my funnel. So now that you're in my funnel, you get good content, you get some free gifts, you get invited to webinars, because I want to nurture that relationship. Now, I can't be beating on you constantly, sending you an email, sending you a text, send you a message saying, join coaching, join coaching, join coaching. You know what you would do? You would just get rid of me. You would just unsubscribe to me. So that same approach, when you're doing your lead follow-up with your past clients, with your Sphere, with all of those people in your pipeline, You want to be gracious, helpful, certainly consistent, and you want to stand out as the wise advisor. So you've got your campaigns running your machine, but then you extract who are my top 10 hottest leads. Because while I'm going to call them all, these are the 10 that I want to be hunting. Now, I used to discipline myself that on that sheet, on those top 10, I could not put 11 because I knew seldom were there really more than 5 to 10 super hot ones. So I didn't want to kid myself. So I either had to sell somebody, list somebody, kick somebody down to the seed pile, which is email only, or do something to get them off that list because I only could have 10. I could not have 11. And, you know, just before we got on this webinar together, I said to Taylor, after the webinar, let's put in my schedule today a time to look at our top 10, because guess what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, guys? I'm going to be calling my top 10 hottest and best. And yes, every single Monday. So the question is, every Monday? Absolutely, Francis, every Monday. Because what I wanted to do each Monday with those leads is not only just to take a look at them, but I also wanted to prioritize them. Because you guys know, sometimes the week gets crazy. So if I could only call 1 or 2 today, who are those people going to be? So who are the top 10 in order of hotness? And then I would do one other thing. I would set a little goal next to the side. What is my deadline by when I want to convert that lead, right? Because that kept me focused. So I wasn't just massaging my leads. Because you see, here's something I've noticed, and I think I actually forgot to put this in the slides, so I'll go ahead and mention this to you now. I've noticed that some agents are pretty aggressive when they're doing their prospecting. But when it comes to their lead follow-up, especially if people are sort of friendly. Oh, hey, Debbie, how you doing? Yeah, no, we're not ready yet. Oh, yeah, we'll keep you in mind. Or are you still thinking of moving in the spring? Oh, yeah, it's going to be the spring. Okay, great. And I don't press because I think, oh, they like me. They'll call me. Then I call them back in January and they've already sold their house, right? So I always thought I can't totally believe what they're telling me. And I'm not saying because they're a liar, maybe, maybe, but sometimes they just think it's going to be April and then they get excited and they just list their house. Or they just go out and buy one because they got excited. Or they told me a longer date because they didn't want to be bothered, right? And they knew if they told me January, I might press a little harder. So when you do your lead follow-up, I would encourage you to cut whatever they say in half and just assume it's going to be half as long. That's a little bit of your safety net. The other thing I would encourage you is don't remind them what they told you. So don't say, I know you told me you were going to move in April, because it might not have even been the truth. So you'll see in my scripts instead, you know, Judy, hey, I just wanted to follow up with you. I know you wanted to get your home on the market and get it sold. So I was just wondering, are you ready to do that? I've got a little bit of time. I could meet with you on Thursday. And maybe Judy says, no, I'm not ready. You know, I'm going to wait until April. Well, Judy, tell me, what's important for you about waiting until April? Now, why am I asking that question? What's important for you about waiting till April? Because see, guys, I want to find motivation. And I also want to determine, you know, is it a true is it just an objection, right? Like she's just stalling and putting it off. Or is it an actual condition? So if Judy said, you know what, I'm leaving the country and I'm not going to be back until, you know, end of March, and I absolutely won't do it. Well, okay, fine. Now I know, and I need to follow up. But if Judy says, well, I was just thinking that the market might be better in April. See, now I have a whole new and different opportunity. So, Judy, let me ask you, if you felt that there was a financial advantage to doing it before April, could you actually do that? Well, yeah, maybe I could. Well, Judy, I'll tell you what, let's do this then. Let's get together on Thursday. We'll take a look at the numbers, and I feel certain after you see them, you're going to know what you want to do. See, I don't need to hard sell her, say a lot of stuff about why now is great. I just need to get in front of her. Now, if she won't give me that appointment, now I may want to say, Judy, were you aware of what's going on in the market? The fact that across the country, the market is really beginning to shift a bit. And Judy, we don't want to miss the window of opportunity. And you're absolutely right that spring usually is a great time because every seller feels that way and they put their home on the market. So yes, there are more buyers. There's also more competition. And that's quite a few months away in a shifting market. Why don't we get together and just really talk about protecting your equity, maybe getting ahead of the shift? This might really be that window of opportunity. Okay, so we want to get in there and dig in. Don't just accept what they tell you, guys, because they need you. Your job as a great salesperson is to help people overcome their fear and hesitation to achieve the goals that they have set. It's not to push somebody into doing something when they don't want to do it, but to help them overcome their fear and hesitation. So spark that sense of urgency. And now, guys, I see some of you typing in your email so that we can send you the scripts, and you're right, Ann. No, we don't need your email because we have it, because you registered to be here today. So no worries. We know where to find you, right? Because you are in my funnel. So let's see. Yvette asked, when someone you have had great rapport with pushes the date out further and then disappears, what do you do? Do you drop them? And Yvette, it's funny you asked that question. I was talking to my husband, and it was probably a couple of weeks ago. He was telling me about a client. They were actually a past client. And he said, they told me a couple months ago that they wanted to put the house on the market in December. And I followed up, and they were pretty responsive, but then they just went dark. And he said, I haven't been able to reach them, and I'm kind of stressed out about it. And you know what? Lo and behold, last night they reached out and they said, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you. I just wasn't ready yet. Now, he continued to text, to email, to follow up, to intersperse it so he didn't come across as a stalker, but just to let them know that they were on his mind. So I think people are a little bit rude, right? They tell you they want to connect. They tell you they want your help, but then they don't respond, and you're, chasing. But in this Harvard study on leads, it said that it can often take well over 6 attempts, 6 connections to get someone to move forward. And it can take up to 4 months. So don't give up on them too easily. Now, something that might work for you is send an email, and just depends on how much you know them, how well you know them. And in the subject line, say, are you okay, with a question mark. And then in the email, say, you know what? I've been trying to reach you. I've been worried about you. I hope you're okay. Please let me know how I can be helpful. And just, even if you're not ready to sell, will you just let me know that you're okay and when you'd like me to be in touch with you? Most of the time, guys, unless they're a complete jerk or they totally don't want to connect with you, most of the time they will respond to that. Okay, so focusing on listings, where's the best place to study your local market area to look for trends to identify the next seller? Well, you can talk to your title companies in most states, and title companies can often provide a lot of analytics for you to help you find market hotspots. I know our title rep here in Orange County, California, really helped my daughters with that. So you might check with your title company. There are companies, we actually coach SmartZip, which is a data analytics company, and they sell a product to help you with that. But then you can also just pick the areas you're interested and go right in there and run the data, right? So if you took an area and you ran the comps back for the whole year of 2018, if there are 500 homes, my goal would be that at least 4 to 5% at least were turnover, right? So if you had 1,000 homes, then 50 sold, that might be a pretty good area. I'd like to have more turnover, but it's just really hard to get. Okay. Can you advise about a good company who provides good daily expireds? A lot of our clients use RedX, REDX. They're pretty affordable. Land Voice, also pretty affordable. And then also Rebo Gateway, REBO. We do a lot of stuff with them. And then there's Vulcan 7, VLUCAN number 7, but they're quite a bit more expensive. And yes, Ernest, I always say leads are not like fine wine. They do not age well. So we got to get them off the shelf. Okay, so let's move on. Taylor, there we go. So I have the lion here. Why do I have this? So this is a real story. So I'm a new agent. I'm probably about 6 months in the business, and I've been prospecting a lot. So I had like all these like scraps of paper, you know, all over my desk like a snowstorm. And I'm shuffling this paperwork. And my broker comes up behind me and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing my lead follow-up, and I just have so many leads that, you know, I need to refer some of these out." And he picked up a book that was on my desk and he smacked me in the back of the head. And he goes, "What the heck? You know, the deal board over here, you don't have a single thing on that deal board. What are you talking about referring out the leads?" And he said, "Debbie, I got to tell you something. When the lion is hunting antelope in the jungle, the lion doesn't try to eat the whole herd at once. He goes after one, gets it, eats it, and then goes and gets another." And he said, "That's what you need to do with your lead follow-up." And that's why I created my top 10 hot list. Get that one, then go get the next one, then go get the next one. It was a great lesson. As I said, he was pretty hard on me. He was pretty hard on me. Okay, so I want to show you this great lady. So I met her recently, and I'm so sorry they didn't put her name in the picture here for me. And I have literally been in front of about 10,000 agents in the last 30 days, and I forget her name. But do you see her little scratch pad there? So I think she's 83 years old, and she is in St. Louis. No, she's in Kansas City, Missouri. It's because I went to St. Louis first, and I went over to Kansas City. She's been selling real estate for decades, and she said she has no interest at all in retiring because she loves what she does. And she said, "Would you like to see my CRM, Debbie?" And you see that little scratch pad she has there? She carries around her hot list of people. So these are the people that she's actively working. Now I know she has another list somewhere, but these are her hot people. So I thought she was just a great inspiration. So happy, loved what she did. But she told me, she goes, "You know, Debbie, I work with people I enjoy." And I would say, you know, great lesson to all of us, both on her lead follow-up and being a little bit selective about who she chooses to work with. So there's a lot of data on how much your conversion increases when you contact people within 5 minutes versus 15 minutes. Okay, it is massively different. I think it was like 50% improvement in conversion when you connect with them within 5 minutes. Now, back to the autoresponder question. So if you know that you cannot get to them within 5 minutes, then at least an auto responding message going out saying, thank you for reaching out. Love to connect with you. Where can I call you? Or whatever you want that message to say. But if you can get them live within 5 minutes on that phone, your conversion will increase dramatically. Now, emailing is great. I am a believer in email drip. And honestly, guys, if you're buying online leads, you don't know these people, the online lead conversion is low. And I'm not saying that to trash them or to say you shouldn't buy them. It's just a reality. Online lead conversion is typically anywhere from 1.5% to 3%. And you don't know these people. We got to extract that 1.5% to 3%. Go right ahead. Email them every single week. Email them twice a week if you want to. But just remember, you would be doing a great job if 20 to 24% opened your emails, because that's kind of a big deal, right? Those are typically going to be ratios more of people who know you. So if you've got a 20 or 24% open rate, you're doing pretty darn good. But that means a bunch of them are not opening your email. That's why we also have to call them. So online leads turn into clients as you build trust and provide value, 100% earnest. Just like I signed up a coaching client to work with us this morning, and that client said, Debbie, I first met you at an event 2 years ago, and you gave so much great content and great gifts. You didn't hard sell us. I loved it. So then I started attending your webinars, and there was always great content and great gifts. I felt like you valued and appreciated me, and I just didn't have the budget for coaching until now. But I always knew, because you gave value, in a sense, they actually said, because you pay it forward, that I would join you one day. And see, I want your leads to say that same thing about you. They didn't neglect me. They didn't beat me up and push me too hard, but they took great care of me. So do I have a recommendation how long calls should be on follow-up calls? Okay, I think you're asking, like, how many questions would you ask that person? And that's actually coming up in just a minute. Ron says, after 20 years in the business, aside from the fact that I need to make a living, how do I get motivated again? I've got a lot of leads. I've got a lot of past clients. I've got a great CRM. I just can't seem to get in the groove. And you know what, Ron? Here's the thing. I actually have something that we built in our inner circle for our coaching clients called the Instant Client Goldmine, because some of them share your struggle. We have people that we care about, people that know us, but I've just not been calling them. So we have them send a letter saying, we call it the pink elephant letter. Let's address the elephant in the room. Haven't been in touch in a long time. We have that letter for them. We then have them send an email saying basically the same. We have them send a text. We have them send a slide voicemail. And then we have them call them. Because sometimes just hearing how much they want to hear from you gets you motivated again. But Ron, I think Z said, maybe partner up with someone motivated. Great idea. Or maybe it's time to hire a coach. We'll help you, right? Many real estate agents will follow up 2 or 3 times and then give up. Please don't be that, okay? Because remember, 2 or 3 times are not likely to be enough for most of the leads. If you said, Debbie, what's an absolute minimum standard? I'd say minimum 5 times, minimum. Now, ideally, though, you're going to go 6, 7, even beyond. But again, you're going to have a practical game plan, call, email, text, and repeat, right? So you're working on those leads methodically. There's gold in that dead lead pipeline, right? And texting is amazing. In our inner circle for our clients, we have built a custom designed texting platform, and I even wrote scripts for them. And you'd be amazed the scripts that work. Are you still looking to buy a house this year? Is it time for you to buy a home? Love to talk to you. Text me back. Right, guys? These are easy, simple things. But when you ask those questions, be prepared. Sometimes they might text back and say, sorry, already bought something. That would be a sad moment. But often they text back and say, yeah, I want to buy a house, but I don't want to buy a house till January. Call me to set it up. It's amazing the response that comes back from some of those dead leads. So if they're not picking up the phone, if they're not responding to email, try texting them. Are you still looking to buy a home in X, right? Just a short question. Now, because your online portals do make it easy for buyers and sellers to go online, they can go to Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, they can do all kinds of research. Most prospects are going to start their searches really, really early, much earlier than they ever have before. That's why if you don't follow up, you won't convert. So a good CRM, a good marketing campaign to allow you to nurture your pipeline to maturity. Now, again, because I know some of you, just from the questions I saw before the webinar, want to connect with us before the new year about coaching. So just know we have a lot of systems built for you here at Excellium, the texting and slide dialing. We have marketing campaigns. We have consumer guides. We have a monthly newsletter. I even write an email blast that our clients can send every week. So if you join us, we do have a lot of stuff developed. But if you aren't ready for coaching, then you really need to sit down and create a game plan. And I see a question, how do you create your automated text messages? Well, I sat down and wrote the scripts for all of our clients. You know what, Aram, if you have a more technical question, though, about that, feel free to type that in, because my daughter, Taylor, she's the president of the company, but she also handles all the marketing back end. So I'll have her watch for your question and answer it. Okay. All right. So let's move on, and then I'll come back to the questions in a minute. We already said connect multiple times in multiple ways. Call, email, text, and repeat. Now, it just makes sense, guys, that if I call somebody at 9 o'clock in the morning and they don't answer, and I call them tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning and they don't answer, and I call them the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning and they don't answer, hey, maybe I need to call them a different time of the day. So that's why I recommend you have your lead follow-up first thing in the morning. Then you set aside time again, maybe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, try them again. And then once a week in the evening, just pick one day a week at least that you invest 30 minutes to hunt one more time. So I'm not talking about cold calls. I'm talking about really hunting those good leads, and then at least one Saturday a month. Now, my personal routine, because I am obsessed with follow-up, was morning, noon, 4 o'clock, and then I would get home in the evening. I would look at my short little pile that I had. I'd change into my comfortable clothes, sometimes even eat dinner, and then I'd go back to my desk from 7:30 to 8 and just try them again. I mean, I was a hunter. Then Saturday morning between 9 and 10, I'd try them again. And then Sunday afternoon, probably at open house, and I'd try them again. So I knew I had to try them at different times of the day. But if you've made those multiple attempts, you've tried the, hey, are you okay? If they're not responding at a certain point, of course, you're going to drop them into a drip campaign. But then once you drop them in that drip campaign, guys, just let it run, right? Why wouldn't you keep them forever in an email drip campaign until they either buy, sell, die, or ask you to take them out, or by unsubscribing? So be helpful. As we talked about a moment ago, you want to be excited. You want to be enthusiastic about helping. You want to give valuable information. In our inner circle for our coaching clients, we have consumer guides that they can request. Is it time to stay and remodel your current home? Is it time to downsize with distinction? Is it time to buy your first home? Is it time to buy an investment? See, we want to offer good resources, information versus just being an annoying, person trying to tell them how wonderful we are. So quality educational information, inside scoop to hot properties, helpful articles. Hey, here's an article about our local market. I thought you might enjoy it. Market reports and property value updates. And we want to showcase your experience, your expertise, and your results. There's a company here in Orange County, California, a large company, and they hired me years ago to conduct focus groups for them with buyers and sellers. And one of the questions was, how did you choose the agent that you chose? Now, they all answered it in a little bit different words, but the message came across loud and clear, and it was the same, hands down, because they felt that that agent was an experienced market expert. So they knew the data, they knew the neighborhoods, and they gravitated towards that because that's the kind of person they want to work with. I was a keynote speaker at an event recently, and I was sitting next to one of the vice presidents of Zillow. And he even told me, he said, here's the thing. As much as we try to in a sense, get these leads, get in front of the agents and get these leads, even though people go online and come to us first, 90% ultimately use an agent they know and trust. Okay, so we got to get you out there, and then we've got to stay top of mind as the agent they know and trust. Now, you can let the sellers know you have a quiet sale option. And please know, I am not saying that you shouldn't put your properties on the open market. I'm just talking about the hook to get you in the door when a seller says, I'm not selling until the spring. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me talk with you a little bit about my quiet sale option, how I can meet with you, help you with a pre-launch, and even start talking to potential buyers about your quality property. If it's a buyer, let them know that you'll hunt off-market properties for them, that you're not just going to rely on the MLS or what's out there on Zillow, but you're going to be proactive about finding new stuff. And if you're sending them emails, keep your subject line short. 3 words are the best. And talk to them in a friendly tone, as if you were actually just sitting right there with them in the room and having a great conversation. And remember, keep your email short, and asking a question is a great way to elicit a response. Now, if you send them lots of attachments, they may not open them because they're too busy, too lazy, or they're afraid they have a virus. And video, though, is great. A link to a video, because then they can get to know you. So be yourself. And hey, selfies are fine. Hey, I just want to reach out and talk to you. Tell me, what are your concerns or hesitations about buying a home? Show your passion. And I hope you guys see that. As much as I'd love to have all of you join us in coaching, I hope you get that I am passionate about helping you, about seeing you succeed. And see, I want you to show that passion to all of them. And do what you can to spark and create a sense of urgency, because there you go, Ernest. Leads are not like fine wine. They do not age well. And we also, going back to the question earlier, since we only have a few minutes to engage and catch their attention, you want to have a well-prepared strategy. What are the questions you're going to ask them? And you want to think about the questions that are going to get them to open up. So with a buyer, I'm not going to say on my first question, have you been pre-qualified? That's a little insulting. I'm going to ask about them. I'm going to ask about their goals. I'm going to ask about their dreams. I'm going to ask about homes they may have seen already. I'm going to ask about their timeline. I'm going to ask if they're open to allowing me to help them. See, I want to have good questions prepared, at least 3 to 5 before I get on every phone call. So back to the question about how do I stay motivated? When Hugo came to us, he really kind of felt that same way of, I'm complacent, it's cold, I'm bored, I'm over it. But we got in there and we found some great opportunity. He got some terrific deals going. And the funny thing is, when you're taking great listings and making great sales, it's really easy to get inspired. So be interested, be interesting. I want you to work on your skills of mirroring and matching, asking great questions, letting them feel the love and approval. And when you're on that call with them, if they're not ready or they can't buy or sell, ask them for a referral. Why not? I would love to help you, but in the meantime, who do you know that I might be able to help? So keep them in your pipeline for at least 18 months. And then here's the promise technique. If they say, you know what, I'm not ready, but I'll call you one day, do I have your promise that I will be your agent of choice? Because there's something magic about getting them to promise. Now, when you're working with a cooperative lead, but they're not ready, just go ahead and talk to them on the phone right then and there. When will you be calling them again? Get their confirmation that that's fine. Get them set in your calendar because see, now you'll feel very comfortable because they are expecting you. So as we started off with, if someone doesn't tell you once in a while that you're not a little bit persistent, then you're probably not persistent enough. And guys, I know we're almost over time and I've got coaching calls waiting for me. So let's just quickly review what we've learned so far. It's more critical than ever to build your pipeline. We've talked about some best methods and frequency, how to engage and lock them into you. So I hope you've got your 2 to 3 action items. You can go ahead and check it, type in a yes. And I know you're going to take those scripts and you're going to go out and use them. And I really hope you feel this was time well spent. And guys, here's the deal. I am confident that you more than most can go out there and put what you learned into action. But I just want to say this. What if there was a better way? What if we could stand behind you, helping you every step of the way in the new year? Because I know sometimes you have those good intentions and you just don't act on them. So in addition to accountability, maybe you need some high-level strategy. Maybe we need to run that business more efficiently, just like Ernie, right? The old dog, new tricks that he talks about. And I just want you to think about, maybe it's time to hire a coach. And if it's not us, someone to help you. But remember, if you are serious about looking at coaching as a possible opportunity for your new year, I have those 10 spaces available, www.businessstrategycall.com. It will be with me. It will be for a full hour. So book it now because when the space is gone, we're going to be right up against Christmas. I won't have time. And guys, I know there's some questions there I didn't get a chance to answer, but I know we all have to run. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Taylor pull those for me. And if I did not answer your question, I will answer you later today via email, and our great gifts will be on the way. So I hope to talk to you soon on the strategy call, right? All right, guys, have a great holiday. Merry Christmas. I'll talk to you soon.